living in Dallas, Texas. Go check it out. They're blowing things up all over the place.
I want to introduce you to a mega agent here in Dallas. And this guy is so inspiring. This guy, what he has done, like I'm a marketer, right? So I think of organic and I think of paid and I think of all these different pieces of where you can spend time and allocate money to help generate more leads and connect with more people. This guy dominates YouTube. And we're not talking about ads. We're talking about consistent content on YouTube. He's got an amazing success story. Put your hands together for Levi. Bring him out. Let's go, Levi.
Thanks, man. How we doing? Good? All right, good. So thank you for having us. Brian, appreciate it so much. This is passive prospecting, so you never have to cold call, door knock, or spend money on ads. I think I'm having I got the same Mike Buck does, right? All right, so first of all, I got to give a shout out to my man, Travis Plumb, my business partner. So I like to say that I collected the clients. Yeah, there you go. And he converted them. And also thank you to the Living in Dallas, Texas team. You guys are amazing. I know there's a few of you here. So here's the deal. I mean, we were brand new agents. We sold 0 homes in 2020, and we released the first YouTube video on December 5th of 2020. And in Q1 of 2021, we sold 0 homes. And so what we did, we closed the first deal April of 2021. So it took us about 90 days to get the first deal under contract, but we were able to close 2 in April of 2021. Over the last 15 months, this is what's happened from the YouTube channel, is that we've generated 1,696 leads, 217 transactions, over 121 million in volume at a 13% conversion rate, and we generated over 3.6 million in commissions, all organic, no ad spend, just from a YouTube channel. So here's how this kind of started. It's funny because my friend Michael Reese, a few of you may know him, he's been trying to get me into real estate for 20 years. And respectfully, I just never had an interest to be a real estate agent. So 87% of agents, we know the statistics, right? They fail in the first 2 years. And I saw how hard he worked in the first 3 years. I mean, he's worked hard his whole career, but you know how much it takes to get a business off the ground, especially being a real estate agent. So why do agents fail? This is the question that I always ask myself. Well, if you look at the stats, again, the average agent starts with less than $5,000 to their name. And even according to NAR on their website, agents with less than 2 years of experience make on average $8,800 a year for the first 2 years. So I don't know about you, but I couldn't live off of $8,800 a year. That's according to NAR. I mean, if you have less than 2 years of experience, $8,800 a year. So that's a problem, right? Because I can't live off of that, and I'm sure you can't either. And it's a rejection-based business. So no matter what anybody says, it's hard. I mean, right? Sales is hard. You heard it, right? You got to get through 10 or 20 no's to get to that yes. That's just not fun. And of course, what it really comes down to is we're just not effective at lead generation. And that's why people typically fail. So whenever I was moving into real estate, I had to look at, okay, where are the eyeballs? That's what I was concerned about. Where is everybody actually looking? So if you search like a suburb of Dallas, which is Plano, Texas, on Google, you can see easily that it gets 90,500 searches per month. But whenever you look at the search volume on YouTube, it gets 834,000 searches per month. So what does that tell us? That tells us that people actually want to see Plano firsthand. They want to know what it looks like, what it sounds like. They want to get that sense through video. So this is what allowed us to discover really what we call the passive prospecting principles, which is intention-based, global reach, attraction-based, and compounding time. So I can only cover a couple, but interruption versus intention. This is one of the most important concepts. Interruption marketing is what we've been exposed to and probably what we've conducted as business owners our entire life. What is that? That is TV commercials, it's billboards, it's magazine ads, it's postcards, it's cold calling, it's door knocking, right? Why are those things so difficult and take so much money? It's because they're interrupting what people are doing every single day. And they may not even be in the market for buying or selling a home. And so if you can, now think about this, you could see a dog food commercial 10 times a day. Doesn't mean you're gonna run out and buy dog food. But if you pour out the last bowl of dog food, you probably don't want Fluffy to die, so you think, okay, now I have to go buy dog food. And so what do? You probably pull out your phone, you search on Amazon, you look for dog food, find it within about 5 seconds, buy it, it's on your doorstep. Or you may go to the store intentionally to the dog food aisle, buy it, and then you have dog food, right? You did not need any marketing or advertising at all to have you go buy the dog food. So think if you could be in that position for real estate, when people are actually searching, looking to buy and sell real estate, you were the person that showed up. And that's the power of intention-based marketing versus interruption marketing. And so look at the stats. These are back-end clips from our analytics. And so they say that short-form content's the way to go, right? Nobody has an attention span these days. But look at the traffic to our channel. 55% of the traffic comes from TV, computer, and tablet. Those are research devices, which means people are intentionally looking for this information. Look at that. 30% of our traffic comes from TV. That means people are sitting on their couch, maybe even laying in their bed, probably with their spouse, watching our videos on the TV screen. And look at the average view duration. That's much longer than 60 seconds. That's 9 minutes and 39 seconds on average view duration on TV. And look at computer, over 5 minutes, tablet, over 6 minutes. But look at where the attention span is the least amount. It's on mobile, even whenever they're on YouTube, because they're not typically in that full research mode. So, and that's the reason why this stat is so important. Average contact under contract, out of those 217 transactions, we average 47 days, which means the first time anybody ever reaches out to us, we typically get them under contract in a 47-day time frame because they are intentional. They're actually looking to buy or sell real estate. And so this is the number one reason most agents tell me that they don't start on YouTube, is because they think it takes too much time. But YouTube does not take you time. YouTube makes you time. Look at this one video, for example. It took us 30 minutes to film. We did it in one take. And it's been watched 9,400 hours. That's a profit of 9,399.5 hours if you look at it that way. And it's still getting on average over 100 views per day, and it's over a year old. But YouTube not only makes you time, it compounds your time. Now look at this. In one day, our channel was watched 1,514 hours. You divide that by 24 hours, that's equivalent to 63 days. So think about it. If you're making calls 2 hours a day and our channel is prospecting for us 63 days in one day, that is compounding time. But look at last month, our channel was watched 11,800 hours. You divide that by 24 hours in a day, that's equivalent to 1.34 years. And then if you look at the life of the channel, it's been watched 130,400 hours. You divide that by 24 hours a day, that's equivalent to 14.88 years. So our channel has prospected for us in 18 months, almost 15 years worth of prospecting. And the best thing is it's running 24/7. Guess what? People are watching our channel right now while we're here. And so we're able to go to conferences. We're able to take vacation. We don't feel guilty about that stuff because guess what? The channel is constantly working for us and it's always lead generating. We're probably getting inbound calls right this moment. So this falls into the cash flow quadrant. If you've ever read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, then the follow-up book, The Cash Flow Quadrant, none of us in here, as far as I know, right, wanted to be an employee. None of us, because that trades time for money and you work for somebody else. So what did we do? We got a real estate license and we just moved ourselves to the S quadrant. You know, you still trade time for money, you just do it for yourself instead of somebody else. So the true way to become a business owner and to move to the right side of the quadrant is to, in real estate at least, have a team, have a brokerage. You could own rental properties that create passive income, or you have a lead generating system like YouTube that is bringing in business 24/7. Basically, you're leveraging a process, system, or people so that you don't have to be 100% involved in your business all the time. And so this is the big difference between active prospecting and passive prospecting. I mean, active prospecting, it's hard. I mean, plain and simple. It's why all sales training exists. It's why conferences and books and coaches are out there to teach you how to build rapport, establish credibility, develop relationships, because it's hard. You're also pursuing, think about that, when you meet somebody, that is a form of interruption marketing technically, because are they necessarily in the market at that time? And then we're talking about why they should buy or sell with us. So you have to create rapport and establish credibility very quickly, especially if you're making phone calls or door knocking. You have to do that in a matter of seconds. It's a ton of rejection, again, why people get out of the business. And one thing, I've been in sales for quite a long time. One thing I always hated was prospecting, because you end up spending 90% of your time doing that to actually spend 10% of your time talking to the people to work with them or get them to work with you on your product and service. But when you look at passive prospecting, it's pretty simple. I mean, it's zero rejection. We haven't had a single person call us to tell us how much they hate our videos and they're not going to work with us. It just doesn't happen. Occasionally from the YouTube comment here or there, I mean, you get a few interesting ones there, but clients walk themselves through the entire sales process. Think about how powerful this is. They go to YouTube searching to learn about real estate. What do? They search and they find your channel or they find one of your videos. Then they choose to click on that video. Then guess what? If they watch that video and you have some valuable content, they're probably going to click on another video and watch another video. So they're making that choice. And then YouTube is actually going to take your back and serve more videos to them because they got stuck in the algorithm, right? You know this, you made this mistake. You watch one silly cat video on YouTube and the next thing all you get is cat videos in your feed for the next month. So the video builds the relationship for you. So that way, whenever they call us, which all of our business is 100% inbound, we've done absolutely zero cold calling, door knocking. We haven't shaken hands or kissed babies, nothing wrong with that. But the thing is that it's 100% inbound, and whenever they call us, they've already made the decision that they want to work with us. And you can see this. This is just an example of the text and the emails that we get every single day. But what I want you to notice on here is the volume. These are cold emails to us. We've never met these people before, and look how much information they volunteer on the first time. I mean, they give us everything. The square footage, the beds, the baths, their kids. They'll tell us their kids' names, everything that their plan is. And look at the key phrases that they say. We would like to check with you if you'd be able to help us find a home. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing from you. If you have some time to talk about this, feel free to give me a call. I mean, when's the last time you had somebody said, hey, would you mind being our real estate agent? That would be so amazing. And we've never met them before, but that's why they move so quickly. So this is what led us to develop the passive prospecting process, which is really 4 simple concepts. It's a channel build out, content creation, lead conversion, and optimization. So if you haven't seen our channel, this is it. I mean, if you're a real estate client and you come to this channel, there should really be no question what it's about, right? If you come here and you're looking to live in Dallas, Texas, well, first of all, it's named Living in Dallas, Texas. Could be moving to Dallas, Texas, relocating to Dallas, Texas living. What we didn't name it was Levi and Travis's home selling team, right? Because that's like a sales pitch right off the bat. So we want to capture people that are researching and looking for information. Again, what does the text say in the middle? It doesn't say, call us if you want to buy, sell, or invest. It says subscribe to learn all about living in Dallas, Texas. Again, that's value add, value driven. It's actually telling them why they should subscribe and what they're going to learn on the channel. We paint the picture. We get a lot of clients from California, New York, Illinois. So guess what? We create that visual right there because that creates an immediate connection with them. As soon as they see that picture, they're like, oh, that's us on the box truck coming from California. This is the channel for us. But also, think about this. If you have right now any of your socials linked on your YouTube page, stop it. Because think about this. You've worked hard to get somebody to your YouTube channel. Why would you distract them with short form platforms? You know, why would you want to get them to go over to TikTok or Instagram where they're probably going to end up watching cat videos anyways instead of looking at research? So the only reason we give people to leave our channel is if it's to book a call with us. So this is your sales page. This is your landing page. And then you think about content creation strategies. What we found is there's really 4 main videos. I mean, you can make 100 different types of videos, but these really work very well, which are vlog tours, taking people out in the neighborhood. Anybody can look on Zillow anytime, right? But what they can't find on Zillow is they can't see the house next door. They can't see the house across the street. They can't see the jungle gym at the neighborhood playground. They can't see the community pool. That's what they're not going to see on Zillow. So when we take them out in the neighborhoods and actually show them what it looks like, they absolutely love it. Map tours, you'd be surprised. This was just an experiment, and there's some of our most popular videos, which is simply just sharing your screen and walking people around on a map. They love that because they get your perspective versus just looking at points on a map. Pros and cons may be cheesy to some, but I tell you what, people love it. They want to know what's the good and the bad of living in your area. Then you look at list videos, top 5 this, top 8 this, top 9 that, doesn't matter. Any type of list video is always a popular subject on YouTube. So, but notice, We put question marks, best burbs, you see that? So we're not steering people into the best neighborhoods. We're leaving that as a question. We always reference something as well, so it doesn't look like that's our opinion and we're just driving people there. So something to keep in mind. But then you get into search engine optimization. This is where it's not just agents, it's people in general don't understand this whenever they get onto YouTube, and then they wonder why none of their videos get any views. You have to help YouTube understand what your video is about if you want anybody to find it through search. But look at this, you can use certain softwares. We use one called TubeBuddy, and it'll flip-flop thumbnails back and forth. So we don't guess on this stuff. We test it. We figure out what's going to be the best one for us. But look at this. Just making a simple adjustment on a thumbnail or changing up the words or just one picture could make all the difference. 20%, look at that first one, 20% more click-through rate. Look at the second one, 387% more click-throughs. The last one, you might not be able to see it, it says 648% more clicks. So again, if we would have left the other thumbnail, you ever wonder why you post something on YouTube and then it gets no views? Could just be your thumbnail. And just one simple adjustment on that could change that. Look at in the middle one, you're talking about 1% versus almost 5.5%. That's a big deal. YouTube says anything on a click-through rate between 2 and 10% is ideal. That's what they're looking for. So if we would have left that top one at 1%, guess what? It's not getting the click-throughs. That's telling YouTube it's probably not a good video. First of all, it's not attracting the attention. Nobody's clicking on it, so why are they going to promote it? But the second one is falling right in the middle of where where YouTube wants to see the click-through rate, so that's why it's going to get promoted. Plus, think about it. How many people know outside of Dallas where Fairview is in the first place? But most people don't know it's right next to Frisco, has a better school district, bigger lots, nicer homes, right? And so that's something else we thought about. What if we just titled it the new Frisco? Would that attract it since so many people are on YouTube looking for Frisco? So then you look at lead conversion. If you have to do anything in your business more than once, you need a system, a process, a campaign, or a trigger for it. You think every time we send an email to Brian McCauley to help us out on mortgage that we type that email out every single time? No, we move it through a process, through a pipeline. So this is our CRM's a whole drag and drop system. We just move the card over whenever it's time to send somebody to Brian and his team, and guess what? Brian gets the email, the client gets the email, the agent gets the email. Everybody's sent that email when they go to property alerts, whenever if they're coming to town, if we're going to be showing. So that's the big deal. So if you have to do anything twice in your business, you need a system or a process for it. But then we created the passive production process, because as we started to help other agents do this, we saw that they could understand what the concepts we were doing, but then they would get stuck at the actual action part, right? And it's hard. I mean, actually, Gogo's going to come up and talk about VAs, which that's a challenge. I think for anybody that's tried to source a VA before, you know that you've got to find one in the first place. You got to find one that sticks around. You got to find one, then you're going to have to train them, and then sometimes they disappear after you train them for 30 days. So that's a whole process. So we developed a system now where agents can simply film the video, we build the channel, we edit, we optimize, and then we publish and support, and we built that all through to be able to help other agents do that as well. So I'm going to end up and close on this. I just want to share this with y'all because it's really to help you understand, for those that have doubt, because myself, Travis, and we're not really any different than anybody in this room. And so, this was myself. I grew up 2 hours south of here in Stephenville, Texas. Anybody ever heard of Stephenville? Yeah, a couple of you, I know you don't even want to say it out loud, right? Don't want to admit it. So, it's a small country town. I mean, if you're not milking cows or riding bulls, there's really not much else to do there. And so I grew up, my parents didn't go to college. My two older brothers didn't go to college. And so I grew up my whole life thinking, well, I'm not going to go to college. And I worked about a year after high school, mopping floors and stocking shelves until I realized, okay, this is not going to be for me, right? So what do most country boys do to get out of the country? Well, you join the military, right? So I thought, okay, I'm going to join the military. This was 1999. That's right. I'm 42 years old. And so I thought 1999, the last Gulf War that ended 9 years earlier, it ended in 8 days. No big deal. The world's at peace. Nobody's ever going to mess with us again, right? And then 2 years later, September 11th happened. And I found myself shortly after that deployed to Iraq. And I was a sergeant at the time. I was in the infantry and ran gun trucks, combat patrols, quick reaction force in the middle of Baghdad in 2005. Not the best time to be there, I'll tell you that. But we made it through 12 months of that, got home. CrossFit was kind of coming around at that time. It was a big deal. I've always been in pretty good shape my whole life. I played high school football down in Stephenville, of course, Friday Night Lights, that's the real deal. Got into the military, of course, that kept me in shape. So I was always a pretty healthy guy, but the problem was I came home from Iraq with a digestive disease, and it really messed with me for about 8 years until 2013 came, and then I lost 50 pounds in a single month, and I became bedridden and disabled. And it nearly killed me. And so for the next 3 months, this was the absolute worst time in my life. I would have actually rather been back in Iraq. And I saw 4 different GI doctors, and they threw the kitchen sink at me with medications, steroids, IV antibiotics, hospital stays, and I just couldn't get better. And they were actually talking about removing some organs to cure me. That was their solution, 4 different doctors. And then it was really by God's grace that I found a natural doctor. And he was like, well, hey, let's just change your diet and put you on some vitamins. I was like, wait, what? And so that was it, really just changed my diet, put me on some vitamins. And so, and then I got better. It took me a couple of weeks, and then I started to regain, got my appetite back, and then it took me a full year to recover. But I was able to recover 100% natural with no medication. And now this is almost 10 years ago, and I've never had a single symptom or issue. Thank you. But the reason I just share that with you is because I want you to understand that my life, Travis has a similar story as well, except for the sick part. But, our life, it's really not much different than probably your life. It's just full of ups and downs. But it's the decisions that we make is either going to get us out of those situations or it's going to dig us in deeper, right? And so the thing is that, kindergarten through 12th grade was a pretty normal childhood. I was on an uphill trajectory, thought life was good. Joined the military. I seriously thought that was going to be easy. Get in, get some college money, get out, no big deal. And then Iraq happened, we got deployed. We lost a couple of our team members there. And, the thing is in Iraq, you don't get days off. You don't get time to mourn. You don't get time to feel sorry for yourself. You just don't get time for that. You have to complete the mission. It's mission first regardless. And so you have to make a decision. Are you going to let that take you down, or are you going to move forward and think about everybody else that's right beside you and move through that? And so was able to make that through that. I got out, got into a pharmaceutical job, did very well, went to the top of that company, and then all of a sudden I got sick. Took me back down to zero. I ended up losing that job because after 90 days, they wanted me to come back to work, and I wasn't physically able to do it. And so, that's whenever I started my financial services business in recovery. So after a few months, of course, I wasn't able to do anything, but I learned that I probably wasn't going to have a job ever again because I didn't know if this issue was going to haunt me for the rest of my life. According to the medical doctors, it was. They told me I would never be cured. And so I started the financial services business. I got contracts with all of the Dallas independent school districts, started working with teachers on their retirement planning. And every single year got better than the last year. 2019 was my best financial year ever. 2020 was my best financial quarter ever in Q1. And then guess what, right? The world shuts down and the schools shut down. And so my financial business, where I worked with all the teachers at schools on retirement planning, completely shut down overnight, And so there I was in the summer of 2020 asking myself, how did I get myself in this position? I was 41 years old at the time, and I was thinking, how do I start over without starting over? Where did I go wrong? And what I realized was that I had never leveraged myself in the previous businesses. I had never put in the systems and the processes. I thought everything had to depend on me, and I was the best person to do that job. And so as I looked for what I was going to transition to over during the summer of 2020, and I did a lot of research. I didn't watch Tiger King, just FYI, I didn't watch Tiger. I researched and tried to figure out, okay, and there Michael Reese was, still trying to get me into real estate 20 years later. What's funny is that we actually sold memberships together. If anybody ever remembers Bally Total Fitness, whenever that was in business, we sold gym memberships before he got into real estate, and he wanted me to get into real estate in 2002, and I respectfully declined. Well, here he was in 2020, right there again, saying, Levi, now's the time. And I was just thinking, I don't want to be a real estate agent. Again, nothing wrong with that, but I was just thinking about, I didn't want to be cold calling and door knocking and spending a ton of money on postcards. And how was I going to brand myself and break into a market in Dallas, which is super competitive, and establish brands? People have been here for 10, 20, 30 years. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to do this, I want to be able to attract business. Well, how do you do that? How do you do that from nothing? Well, social media. But which platform? I also understood I didn't want to spread myself across 5 different platforms because then I'd end up giving 20% to 5 different platforms instead of going 100% on one. So I looked at the other ones, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Really, none of those set well with me. And so YouTube was the last choice. But as I dug into YouTube, learned that YouTube's not a social platform, it's a search engine. And then I thought, okay, then I started to understand a pattern and ways that we could probably create content about Dallas, you see, because I wasn't a real estate agent. I wasn't a good one. I hadn't sold a home. So how was I going to make videos and educate people on the escrow process and the title process and everything else that you see agents making videos on? I had zero experience. But then I realized, well, what if I just educate people on Dallas? That's what they're searching for. How many times has a client ever called you and said, hey, can you really tell me about the escrow process first and foremost? Can you really tell me about the title process? Probably not a lot of times, right? They're like, can you tell me about the area? Can you tell me about the neighborhoods? Where's the good schools? They want to know about that first. Then all that stuff, they only care about that stuff once it goes under contract. And if we're making content about those types of things, guess what? Whoever's watching that is probably already under contract with somebody else. So think about that. So ultimately what I'm saying is that it took me, at least, 22 years to be an overnight success. Yes, we've had a very fast rise in real estate in the last 18 months. But again, I didn't start over. What I realized was that I was starting with 20 years of sales and marketing experience in my back pocket. I just had to apply it in a different format. So ultimately, I'm going to close up with this and just say you've got to choose your hard, right? It's hard working out, but to me, it's a lot harder being sick. And it's hard owning a business, but to me, it's a lot harder having a job. And it's hard making videos, but to me, it's a lot harder making calls. So you're going to have to choose your hard, but you don't have to convince me to make videos because last year in our first year, we generated $1.3 million. Now, we made 160 videos, but that's still like getting paid $8,100 a video. But this year, in the first half, we generated $2.6 million off of 56 videos. So that's like getting paid $46,000 a video. And if I offered you $46,000 a video, would you make a video? Would you find a way to overcome whatever's been stopping you? And you'd probably say, how many videos can I make for $46,000, right? So I'm going to ask you, what do you believe? You know, and I believe if you're not where you want to be in your business, it's just because you probably haven't learned something yet. But once you find that something that you want to apply, I also believe you can hyper-learn any subject in 60 days. There's way too much information out there right now. Blogs, YouTube, Google, books, everything. Somebody's done it. And if you want to do it, if you want to be the best postcard marketer on the planet right now, trust me, there's books and YouTube videos about that. And if you sat down and studied it for the next 60 days, you'd probably be better than 99.9% of the agents out there. We just chose YouTube and studied YouTube and then implemented it and put it in place. So I do believe you are only one decision away from changing your life. And if you want to join our next live call, you can click that if you want to get more of the story. And that's my time. My name's Levi. Thank you very much.